Nobody likes being proven wrong. Especially not when the proof arrives screaming off the edge, hunting quarterbacks, and changing games by force. The night the Falcons moved back into the first round, doubt filled the air. Some fans questioned the cost. Others questioned the risk. A few questioned whether this team had learned anything at all. But football doesn't care about opinions. It only listens to impact. And James Pierce Jr. has been impossible to ignore. From his first snap, Pierce didn't look like a rookie learning the league. He looked like a problem the league wasn't ready for. Every week, he arrives faster, stronger, more confident. Offensive tackles feel him before they see him. Quarterbacks hear him coming before they can escape. This isn't noise anymore. This is dominance. 2 more sacks in one night. 8 on the season. 6 straight games with his fingerprints all over the stat sheet. Numbers like that don't come from luck. They come from obsession. From relentless technique. From a player who understands that every snap is a chance to take something from the man across from him. There will always be debates about records. Who did what decades ago? What counts and what doesn't? But history has a way of revealing itself clearly. Some of the most feared pass rushers in today's NFL didn't reach 8 sacks as rookies. James Pierce Jr. already has. That alone puts him in rare company. And the scary part? He's still climbing. There are games left. More chances. More moments where he can tilt the field with a single burst off the line. 10 sacks isn't a dream. It's right there waiting. And if he gets there, it won't feel surprising. It'll feel inevitable. What makes this rise even more dangerous is that Pierce isn't doing it alone. Jalen Walker stands beside him, steady and versatile, cleaning up against the run, dropping into coverage, doing the quiet work that makes chaos possible. Together, they become something history barely recognizes, rookie teammates who hunt together and finish plays with the same hunger. For years, the Falcons' greatest flaw was obvious. No pressure. No fear. Quarterbacks stood comfortable, untouched, in clean pockets. That weakness defined games, defined seasons, defined frustration. Now, that weakness has flipped into a weapon. What was once a liability has become a threat that offenses must plan around. James Pierce Jr. is at the center of that transformation. Watch him closely. The build. The speed. The way he bends the edge. The way he wins one-on-one like it's personal. This doesn't look temporary. This looks like the beginning of something that lasts, seasons stacked with sacks, Pro Bowls within reach, and a reputation that grows with every snap. 6 straight games where he couldn't be stopped. And he's just getting started. This defense has found its teeth. And his name is James Pierce Jr. Now the spotlight shifts. And suddenly the questions get heavier. Kyle Pitts is no longer just a name on a depth chart. He's a decision. A crossroads. A reminder of what this franchise believed it was getting, and what it's still hoping to become. After a performance like the one we just witnessed, emotions take over fast. Big plays have a way of rewriting memories. One great night can silence months of frustration, even years of uncertainty. And for a moment, it feels simple. This is the player everyone has been waiting for. This is the answer. But football decisions aren't made in moments. They're made in patterns. Kyle Pitts was drafted to change the shape of this offense. A rare athlete. A matchup nightmare. A tight end who didn't move like a tight end, didn't think like one, didn't play like one. The vision was bold. The expectation was massive. And flashes of that vision have absolutely shown up. Breathtaking flashes that make defenses panic and fans dream. The problem is how rarely those flashes stay. Yes, that last game was special. Arguably the best of his career. Clean routes. Confident hands. Touchdowns that felt effortless. For once, the conversation wasn't about what should be happening, it was about what was happening. Records fell. Production surged. And for a night, Kyle Pitts looked exactly like the player taken near the top of the draft. But one night doesn't erase a history of questions. This is a career defined by highs and long stretches of silence. by moments where everything clicks, followed by weeks where the connection fades. And that inconsistency forces a hard truth into the room. Is this who he finally is? Or is this who he's always been capable of being, but only occasionally becomes? Context matters. A contract year sharpens focus. Urgency has a way of unlocking something deeper. And with Kirk Cousins under center, something clearly changed. The chemistry feels real. The trust looks mutual. Over the last stretch, Pitts has been fed, targeted, and used like a true weapon, not an afterthought. The numbers back it up. The tape confirms it. So now the dilemma is unavoidable. On one side there's the upside. Rare athleticism that can't be coached. A tight end who stretches the field like a wide receiver. A player who, when confident, tilts coverage and opens space for everyone else. There's chemistry with the current quarterback. There's proof, not just hope, that he can dominate. On the other side, there's the volatility. The disappearing acts. The games where he fades into the background. The feeling that you're always waiting for him to arrive instead of counting on him to be there. Paying top money for potential is dangerous. Paying it for inconsistency is worse. This isn't about love or frustration anymore. It's about belief. Do you believe that what you just saw is the new standard? Or do you believe it was another glimpse, brilliant, thrilling, but fleeting? Kyle Pitts represents the hardest kind of choice in football. Not whether he's talented, but whether you trust that the talent will show up when it matters most. And that question doesn't have an easy answer. This is the part that makes Kyle Pitts so difficult to define. There is no middle ground with him. No steady, predictable baseline. You don't get quiet efficiency. You don't get solid. You either get a ghost, or you get a nightmare for defenses. 1 week, he barely touches the ball. The next, he takes over the entire game and forces everyone to remember why he was drafted where he was. That swing is exhausting. And it matters. Because when you commit long-term money, you're not paying for moments, you're paying for reliability. And Pitts has lived his career on the extremes. Explosive highs followed by long, frustrating stretches where the offense moves on without him. His role tells part of the story. He's most comfortable detached from the line, living in the slot, attacking space like a big receiver. That's not a flaw, but it is a limitation. He doesn't bring the full package you expect from a traditional tight end. Blocking has never been his strength. When the offense needs physical edge setting or gritty inline work, that's not where he wins. Then there's the uncertainty under center. The chemistry with Kirk Cousins has been real. You can see it. Timing, trust, confidence, all there. But nothing about the future guarantees that partnership continues. Cap numbers loom. Roles are unsettled. Even if Cousins stays, nothing promises he starts. Banking on a quarterback tight end connection that might vanish is a dangerous gamble. So the decision sharpens. Pitts knows his value, or at least what he believes it should be. He's going to test the market. Someone will be tempted by the upside, the athletic profile, the highlight reel. But the Falcons have to ask themselves if they're ready to pay premium money for potential that still flickers instead of burns steadily. That's why these final games matter more than anything he's done before. This stretch isn't about proving talent. That's already obvious. This is about proving consistency. About showing that dominance isn't an event, it's the norm. If he strings together 3 more performances that demand attention, the conversation changes fast. Doubt turns into urgency. Hesitation turns into pressure. And then there's the other uncomfortable truth from that night. A.J. Terrell struggled. Badly. It's rare to say that about him, which is exactly why it stood out. Penalties piled up. Leverage disappeared. And against a receiver who punishes even elite corners, Terrell never found his footing. It was a long, painful watch. But one night does not define a career. Great defenders have bad games. They get exposed. They get humbled. What matters is whether it becomes a pattern or a footnote. Injuries have lingered. Wear and tear adds up. But nothing about this season erases what Terrell has proven over time. This was a warning, not a verdict. If the mistakes repeat, if the same issues resurface against similar matchups, then the questions get louder. Until then, perspective matters. Panic doesn't help. Evaluation does. This team is at an inflection point. Young stars rising. Big decisions looming. And the margin between belief and doubt has never been thinner.